You got it, you got it, you just don't know you got it all inside of you. It's inside, you got it, let me help you to Back when I was drinking, alcohol was my God, alcoholism was my religion, and an alcoholic was my identity.
And I can never be who I used to be. I'm sorry if you got used to me.
Our history with
All right, all right, all right. I don't know what's going on with my internets today. I'm gonna go ahead and play my intro. Give me a minute. Okay, what the fuck? Real fun filter. All right, all right. Shout out to everybody. What's going on? As soon as
you got it, you got it,
how we doing? Well, as soon as I hit this. All right, guys. I don't know what is going on. For some reason, as soon as I hit this, what's going on, y'all? Excuse me, I'm sitting here trying to get these things together. My internet, it looks like I'm struggle streaming, so I'm gonna forget the intro and we're just gonna get straight to it because I'm an Aries, so that means I'm impatient. All right, give me 1 sec. Let's go ahead and what I'll do is just give folks the time to chime in, man. Let me know where you're from. Go ahead and share this before I get started. I just kind of clocked in here. I got to figure things out. I just got this new screen, and if anybody can DM me, maybe with a little bit of help on what's going on, because I got a second screen so I could screen share. But for some reason, when I'm playing my intro, now literally once I started on here, it wasn't. It's not acting right. So I don't know. Let me see. Let me try something else here. Hey, Michelle. Hey, happy Sunday. All right, Sun Brainstorm. Good to see you. Good to see you. Definitely share this. We got a few minutes. Normally I play like a 7-minute intro, but your boy struggle streaming right now. So I'm going to try and figure out what the issue is. All right, what the issue is. If you are on IG, you definitely are free to stay on IG. You know, it's not an issue. You'll be able to hear everything. I'm not doing as much screen sharing today as I normally do. So, you know, you won't be missing much. You definitely are free to stick around. So to all my IG family, you're definitely free to do that. All right, let me go back to my old way of doing things and see how this works. All right. Looks like it's working. All right. Yes, sir. Hmm. All right. So, like I said, go ahead and check the song out. Look. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Hope you guys are having a great day. Shout out to my Facebook family and shout out to my IG family. All right. And those who may tap in from TikTok or whatnot, forgive that intro. Looks like we were having some technical difficulties. I got a new piece of equipment. I got this screen here. Oh, nice, beautiful little screen. Oh, let me do this. Get my, okay. Nice little blue, beautiful screen. Second screen so that I could, the videos I share, whatever, I can have that on a separate screen instead of trying to do it all on one computer. And it's fighting with me today, but such is life, right? Let me get myself centered here on IG. All right. So today, as you can see in the title, welcome. This is Sobriety and Black Live, or SOS, Sermons on Sobriety, where I basically take concepts that I've either read, quotes, or just life experience and talk about the lessons that I've gotten and sharing the lessons that I've received to whoever's out there checking me out. All right, whether it's right now on live or later on the replay. Either way it goes, I always want to be able to make sure that I contribute to the canon of sobriety, which is why I also wrote my book, Sobriety and Black: Confessions of a Retired Alcoholic, which you can get. It's available on Amazon. You can just type in Sobriety and Black. It'll be the first one to pop up at the top. Or you can go to sobrietyandblack.com and you can find the link there. And usually if you're on any of my social media platforms, I'm always talking about it and putting the information out there. So, and if you can't find it, hey, DM me. I can send you the link directly. I am a recovery coach. I'm 11 years and another day with, God willing, another day sober. I try to do what I can to contribute to helping other people not only get sober, but finding their purpose in sobriety, which is a very big thing. And for me, this is my purpose, to help spread the information regarding sobriety and helping those who are seeking it find a path to it, which I talk about in my book as well. So today's topic is, as you see there, and it's a topic that, may be a little interesting to you based off of how you feel about it. Says honesty heals, but lies can help, right? Honesty heals, but lies can help. I think one part of that is fairly understandable, but although I am going to go over it because there are a lot of dimensions to honesty and to the truth that we want to make sure that we consider. But also, where does this lies can help thing fit within the discussion of sobriety and helping us? The subtitle was Getting Real About Protecting Your Sobriety, which kind of gives you a hint as to where I'm going to go. And if you've checked any of my past broadcasts out, you'll have a fair idea of what I'm going to be mentioning and what I'll be bringing up. All right. So the first thing, there are just a few things when we talk about honesty. In order to achieve, when you're looking towards sobriety, I've always said this, and this is just really any type of endeavor that you are, especially when you're dealing with self-improvement or eliminating a weakness, when you're fighting, whether it's fighting an addiction, whether it's making a major change in your life that's going to require some struggle. First thing you have to do is start with the truth. You've got to start with the truth. Right? If you don't start with the truth, and that's where that's where honesty, it's the foundation for honesty is the truth. It's a recognition of the truth, an acknowledgement of the truth. Okay. In AA, people get up, they say, I am an alcoholic. It may be hard to say, but it is acknowledging a truth that you have a problem with overconsumption of alcohol. That to where it's affected your life negatively, and it's something that you do regardless of its negative effects. That's the definition of an addict, right? And so until you can admit that to yourself first, okay, which is what I talk about here, three things you got to be honest about here. You've got to be honest with yourself, you've got to be honest about your addiction, and you've got to be honest about your journey, right? You've got to be honest about your journey. So the first step being that you've got to be honest with yourself. You've got to be honest with yourself. You'll know that it's time, you're really ready once you can say to yourself unequivocally, right, without flinching, without qualifying it or anything like that, saying, I have a problem with alcohol. I have a problem with drugs. I am addicted. I am an alcoholic. This problem, this must stop. And you have to be able to admit that to yourself. That's requirement number one, because you're not going to get to the next one, admitting it to others or anything like that until you can admit it to yourself. Because the fact of the matter is, you can lie to the world, but it's almost impossible. I'm not going to say it's impossible to lie to yourself. You can delude yourself, but deep down inside, you know the truth. You know the truth. Because God, if we look from a spiritual standpoint, God is the truth, and He created you, right? So you have that truth within you. You can't run from it. I drank to run from my truth. We take these substances and engage in negative and risky behaviors in order to run from the truth. But the fact of the matter is, we can't completely run from the truth, but it's the acknowledgement, right? Because even when I was drinking, I knew I had a problem with alcohol deep down inside. Did it come out of my mouth? No. Did I speak the words? No, at that point. But then I got to a point where I did. So you have to be honest with yourself and really sit down and say, okay, I have an issue. Even if I don't admit it to anybody else, I know I do have an issue, right? And when you think about this, alcohol itself is a problem. So one of the things that you can, consider if you're at this part, I talk about the stages, your locale, right? Your level of change and life, and life environment. I talk about that in my book, your locale, just like a GPS. You got to know where you're at before you can figure out where you're trying to go, right? And where you're at, before you get sober, before you take that journey towards recovery, is you are an alcoholic. You are an addict. Once you can say, okay, this is where I'm at, like a GPS, without emotion, without pride, ego, none of that, then you can start figuring out where you need to go and then learning how to get there, right? So the first thing you can do is just say, admit the truth that alcohol, whether it's one drop or a million gallons, is a problem. Drinking alcohol is a gamble. I don't care if you drink one day a week, one day a year, once in a lifetime. When you drink it, it's a gamble, and that can have negative consequences, right? So this can, just having a knowledge of that, just like saying sugar is bad, flour, if it's a nutrition thing, right? Eating certain meat, meat period, there are negative effects, whether you eat a little bit or a lot of it. And this can help you become more honest with yourself by saying, hey, look, alcohol is a problem for anybody who drinks it. Whether you admit you're an alcoholic or not, whether you drink it once or not, at that time you consume it, it is a problem. It is debilitating. It is degrading your being, right? And then you can say, okay, but I drink more, enough to where it's becoming a actual problem in my life. And then the next stage is you can admit it to yourself, then admit it to a close friend. Find somebody you trust, even if you have to start by asking the question, hey, something I've been thinking about, do you think I have a drinking problem? Start having the conversations with people that you trust, people that you can hold in confidence. People who can tell you the truth and you're not going to let your pride get in the way. People whose opinion matters, right? Be careful, because if you're talking to your drinking buddies, okay, they have a different interest. People who are going to tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, right? And then you can start, taking an assessment of the problems that alcohol has caused in your life. So even if you're not at the point where you're ready to be honest enough to admit it, no matter who you are, even if you think you're a moderate drinker, sit down and ask yourself, how many times has drinking caused me trouble in my life? How many times have I gotten drunk? How many times have I had a hangover and missed a day of work? How many times did I cuss somebody out? How many times did I do something that I know I would not have done had I not been drinking? And when you start taking a serious and honest assessment, then you can start to see the size of the problem that you have. And it's going to make it easier for you to be honest, because then you can think about what you can gain back, right? So you go from admitting to yourself, then admitting to a close friend, and then you can find a group like AA, NA, where you have the protection of anonymity. See, a lot of times it may be hard to admit something to people you know, but if you're in a group full of other people who are admitting their problems, because they know they're not going to run into you at the grocery store or run into you. You know, if you got to go to a good friend of mine had a suggestion that I thought was great. Go to an AA meeting in a different city. You know what I'm saying? If you know, I lived in San Bernardino when I was in California. I could drive out to LA where Michelle's at and go to an AA meeting there where I know I not only is there some anonymity, an agreement, a mutual agreement of anonymity, but I know that my chances of physically running into these people is damn near impossible. And if that's what you need to do it. Go sit in on a meeting. Go to an Al-Anon meeting and act like you're just a friend of a friend who's an alcoholic, but just sit there and listen. Because as you listen and realize how pervasive this issue is, right, you're going to find out it's going to make you even that much more comfortable to come out, so to speak, right? So being honest with yourself, right? As you do that, because one thing they say in AA, which is a very profound, is that we are only as sick as our secrets. We're only as sick as our secrets. The secrets, that you hold in. Okay, I'm living a life as an alcoholic, and it's really destroying my life. But you may go online and you don't tell anybody. You know, everybody online and social media, they put all their A's on their report card out there, but they don't really broadcast too many of those F's, right? But that's where you can think about making those steps, because those secrets are making you sick, avoiding the truth, not being honest, not acknowledging the truth. It's only really damaging you and those that, you're responsible for. If you've got children or you've got a job where people depend on you, somebody depends on you to do your job. You're getting paid for it. So there are people, whether you have kids or not, if you're employed or you have a business or you go outside, somebody's depending on you to have to be able to function in society, right? Your babe, your boss, your husband, your wife, your girlfriend, your pet at home. You know what I'm saying? Some of us treat our pets better than we treat our own, significant others. Hey, the pet is expecting you to come home safe to feed it. If you're out there smacking cars up because you're drunk, it's a problem, right? So it's something to think about. You've got to be honest with yourself, because you're only as sick as your secrets, right? So like I said, admit it to a friend, admit it to yourself, then try and find a means to admit it to a friend or start the discussion with the friend, right? And then go to a group of people that you don't know so that you can be comfortable having open discussions about it. Those are some of the steps you can take to start being honest with yourself, all right? And then once you're doing that, you can become more honest about your addiction by taking that assessment. Okay, what does this addiction cost me? Sit down, write it down. In my book, I talk about that, your alcohol consumption assessment, right? Looking at how much you spend per day, because if you're whether you're an addict or a drinker like me, there was I had a baseline amount of drinks. I used to drink, what was it like? Cavassier and some 2 tall cans. That was like minimum, right? And then it went from there. And on the weekends, it could go any direction. The whole usually way more than I needed, right? Not that you need it at all. But being honest about your addiction by quantifying how much you're taking in. By quantifying, that means writing down specifically, not just kind of thinking about it. Oh yeah, it's a problem. How much of a problem? When was the last time it was a problem? What 3 experiences right now off the head can you think about You know what I'm saying? Where drinking, that was caused directly by drinking, right? That's what you want to start doing, because then that's where you're getting down to the truth, and when you're starting from a strong frame of assessing your truth and taking it from there. It's just like a GPS. They got to know. Have you ever this happened to me when I was in Vegas with my kids. I was at one hotel. We needed an Uber back to our or one casino back to the timeshare. Boom. I hit the Uber. Well, of course, the Uber said that I was at like the hotel across the street. I don't know this. So I'm just thinking the car's coming. It says it's approaching. Then it says it's there, but I'm looking, not finding it. The lady calls me, hey, where are you at? I'm like, oh, I'm at this casino. They're like, oh, well, it says you're supposed to be at this casino. You know, she almost kind of told me, oh, you should have looked at it, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is the GPS, I was not starting from the proper space. And it threw things off, you know, it was a little monkey wrench, right? Well, it's the same way when you're dealing with yourself and being honest about your issue. If you don't address and acknowledge the full extent of your issue, you're not going to be able to figure out, or it's going to be harder to carve your path to wellness, to sobriety. All right. And so, like I said, you can describe or journal the problem that the addiction has caused in your life. That's a great way to start to quantify it and figure out where you're going to be at. Then once you start on your road to recovery, right? And that starts from day one, you start getting more comfortable with it. Then you want to be honest about your journey. I've had people who, I've never really done this, but I've had people who've done this. You know, I have clients who they'll go a couple of weeks without drinking and then have one drink and they didn't get drunk. So they try not to count it. And it's like, nah. And I can kind of tell when I talk to them, you know, it's like, because, you know, I'm just the type of person, most people aren't really trying to lie to me. And they know that, you know, my ability to help them comes from being very honest. I can't, if you're lying, then you're basically going to be wasting your money dealing with me. Right. But you have to be honest about your journey. Like me. No, I'm not going to be the guy that tells you, oh yeah, you know, I just quit cold turkey, 11 years. I just turned it off one day. Yeah, right. I'd be absolutely lying to you if I said that. My journey went like this. And back over and up. You know what I'm saying? It went all over the place. And if you read my book, you already know that, right? There were relapses. Now, is that to say everybody's going to relapse? No. Is that to say that nobody has ever gone cold turkey and just flipped it off? No, I don't know everybody. But I do know that everything's in degrees, just like fingerprints and everything else. Everybody's journey is different. But in order to be successful, being honest is absolutely key. Honest with yourself and honest about your journey. And also you want to be honest about your journey because you want to contribute to helping others at some point. Because that's actually going to help you in your sobriety. The more I do these broadcasts, the more I, post on the internet, whether you guys have seen all the videos of, the artists and entertainers talking about their road to sobriety, talking about quitting. I just posted one with Adrian Bronner. Did one with Danny Trejo, the actor who's been, clean from heroin for over 51 years. He's a successful actor. And from what I've heard, heroin is one, if not the hardest drug to quit, the hardest addiction to kick. You know what I'm saying? And so for him to be able to do that and to be honest, it's a great testament to the fact that we all have the opportunity to redeem ourselves in our sobriety, right? So you want to talk about the progress and the challenges that you have faced on your road to sobriety, that you face every day. Because it's, that helps other people start in their truth. The more you disclose, the more honest you are about not just the progress, but also the challenges you face, the more you help others avoid those challenges. We always talk about that, recovering loudly to help keep others from dying quietly. It's important. And it's a part of what will help other people, your effect size, your influence. I talked about that as one of the superpowers in the book, the superpower of influence, that you're going to positive influence that you will have over others just by going sober. Even if you don't walk out there and spread the gospel of sobriety, your existence, your clean, sober existence influences not just people you know, but people that see you that you don't see. Trust me, I know this. I know this for a fact. People who I thought didn't even like me spoke to me and were like, "Hey man, how'd you do it?" And it's like, "Oh wow, I didn't think, people I'd see every day, whether it's at work or at school, come to me years later and say, "Man, I checked out your journey and I appreciated it." And I've had some people tell me, man, I actually, when they got to the point where they could be honest, they said, "Man, I was almost kind of jealous of you. Jealous of the fact that you were able to sustain your sobriety and I couldn't." And I was like, okay, it made me understand kind of their disposition towards me when I saw them in the past. And it made it, and I was glad that I didn't look at their disposition as disrespect and then get all up in their face, because you don't know what road, just like people don't know everything going on in your life. You don't know what's going on in everybody's head. And it's really made me a lot more empathetic when I start to see, meet other people and they get comfortable enough to speak to me and let me know about, the issues they're having. All right. So that's what the power of being honest and starting with the truth, where it comes in. And just like in John 8:32 says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free." This is true. It's absolutely true. Being honest with yourself about this addiction, one, it shrinks it. You start to analyze it. It becomes less threatening because you are taking dominion over it instead of allowing your addiction to take dominion over you. All right. Now, we've talked about honesty, right? And how it heals. And I've laid down a path that you can take, especially those that are, either sober curious and considering it, or those that may be struggling. It's a path that you can take to help you in gaining your sobriety. So now we get into the second part of the title, right? What was the title? Honesty heals, but lies can help. So what do I mean when I say that lies can help? Well, first of all, this is the principle under which that second half comes. Be willing to protect your sobriety from yourself and from all enemies. What do they say in the military? Protect yourself from all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I believe, the great words of the almighty Malcolm X, you do that by any means necessary. Now, this is one of those sensitive topics where, and I've had people post certain comments that, hey, no, you got to be honest. And it's like, okay, allow me to interject my perspective so you understand what I mean by this. Okay? So just like I said, be honest with yourself, right? If you don't think that you can, this is for the person that may be considering trying sobriety and you're looking over the span and going, how can I go without alcohol for the rest of my life? I don't know if I should even try. Lie to yourself. Lie to yourself. Act like you can do it. Try and act. And look, don't look at me and act as if you ain't lied to yourself in the past. I'm sorry. This may offend some people, but it is what it is. I've seen some people that get online and lie and think they're the most beautiful thing on earth. And I'm like, God does love all creatures. I'm not God. Okay? You can do it. And if you don't believe you can do it, fake it till you make it. Lie to yourself until it becomes the truth. I can do it. I don't believe I can do it. I can do it. I'm going to try it. So what? F it. I think I can do it. I've walked arrogantly into trying to do things without giving it too much thought. And sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not. But it was that kind of what would you call this? Beneficial delusion that I used that got me to where I needed to be. Okay. Just say to yourself, look, I'm going to act like there was a story I was reading. It's just short. Matter of fact, this book here, I should actually read it. I actually got this for free. Furiously Happy by Jenny Lawson. And it's a bunch of short stories. This author she's definitely got mental issues, but she writes these real quirky little stories. And she has a story called Pretend You're Good at It. And that's kind of what I'm saying when I say lie to yourself. All right. So the wording I'm using, maybe, you can call it clickbait or whatever, but it's pretending you're good at it. So even if you don't believe you're good at it, pretend you're good at it. And you'll be surprised. They say, fake it till you make it. That's essentially what I'm trying to tell you. Hey, look, just act like you can do it and try. And if you fail, guess what? You got another day, one day at a time, right, Michelle? Try it again. And if you don't believe you can do it, who gives a damn? How many times have you not thought you could do something, you knew damn well you didn't try and you did it? I know when I drank, I thought I could drink, with a bunch of other people who could drink, and I couldn't. I thought I could get home without smashing up the car. Tried it 3 or 4 times. Unsuccessful. I lied to myself. Those were unhealthy lies to myself. In this case, hey, lie to yourself. I can do the sober thing. If you don't believe it, well, what if I don't believe it, Hanif? I mean, geez. Well, look, you don't have enough time to be waiting to try to convince you. Just lie to yourself and try, man. And fail and fail and fail. Lie to yourself, wake up again. You're the most beautifulest, greatest thing on earth. I don't care, just like these, people who get online thinking that they models and they got a face only a mother can love. No offense, but I'm going to keep it 100. Okay, and they got all the confidence in the world, right? Hey, give yourself the false confidence if that's what you need to do to start. You know what I'm saying? And then secondly, when we talk about being willing to protect your sobriety, not just for yourself, we talk about domestic, but also foreign enemies, those outside of yourself. Okay, so protecting your sobriety from your fears, protecting your sobriety from, your hang-ups, your any self-hate. If you got to lie to yourself, delude yourself, do it and try it over and over and over again. I promise you, the more you try it, the more you learn, you're going to get more confident. And then that lie is going to become a truth to you. How many times have I know how many times I've met people who thought they couldn't sing until they sung in public. And people said, wow, you got a nice voice. Oh, well, I didn't know. Well, just because you don't believe it doesn't mean that you being able to sing isn't true. Because the opposite of the face of motherly love can be true too. You could have very beautiful women or, very attractive boys that as kids, they were told they weren't nothing, right? So mentally in their head, they believe that they aren't attractive. They believe they aren't talented. They believe they aren't of value until somebody else tells them they are. Well, what I'm telling you is lie and act like you're the greatest thing walking and you have complete dominion over your life with the power of God, of course, and push forward, right? Now, when it also, this is the second half of this, when it comes to lying and how these lies can help. And this is, like I said, you may agree, you may not agree. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you about how I do sobriety. You don't have to agree with it, and I don't have to care, okay? So, my first year of sobriety, I absolutely lied to everybody, and I did not tell them I had stopped drinking. I write about this in my book. I had tried the first 3 times I tried to quit. It was the first thing I did. I'm going to quit. I told everybody, hey, I'm done. I'm stopping. And I got more resistance that I was not strong enough to handle. And I relapsed. So this last one, 11 years ago, as of, it'd be 12 years, as of July 24th, 2011, I made a decision. I said, okay, this time I've tried these other things. What could I try differently? I said, I'm not going to tell anybody I'm going to stop drinking. I'm going to have a cup in my hand. I looked like I was drinking. I had cranberry juice with lemon, The same cranberry, but it used to be cranberry juice, lemon, and vodka. Now it's just cranberry juice and lemon. There were times where, I'd have it in my hand. I may even fake stumble, whatever. I went through a whole, and people could say, hey, you were being dishonest. Hey, look, I don't give a shit. That's what I did. And it's the reason for me. It worked for me. Okay? I lied to protect my sobriety. I lied because it kept my friends who I used to drink with off of me. I lied because it gave me the space to grow stronger. I wasn't explaining myself to everybody. I remember when I first stopped, the very first time I tried to quit, God, because everybody I was around drank. So I had to, give a sermon and an explanation. It was like an inquisition every single time I told somebody that I used to drink with that I stopped drinking. And I was around them every day. I didn't know anything else. And I'll admit it, I was not strong enough to handle it at that time. So for that year, I said, all right. And then I sat down and I made a plan. I mean, it was a nice, elaborate plan. I said, okay, honey, how do you know to do? I was able to go to clubs sober. I was able to go to the barbecues. I was able to hang out. I didn't have people treating me like the priest at the strip joint. I'm still laughing and joking. And the crazy thing is I was getting my sober identity, a positive sober identity back while doing it. And then I got strong enough to where one day I just outright was able to admit it. And since that day, now it's the opposite. Everybody knows what it is because it's my truth now. I mean, it was my truth for that year, but it's not just my truth. It's my identity. It's who I am. If I started drinking now, I would disappoint a whole lot of people, starting with myself, right? And so that's what I'm talking about when I talk about, protecting your sobriety by any means necessary. If you have to lie, if you have to disappoint people, if you have to not show up, I don't care if it's a family reunion or a funeral. Hey, if you have to end, relationships, some people you're going to find out as you get sober, there are people that are very close to you that are very toxic. And you and you're going to know it's either one or the other. Either I'm going to stay sober without this person, or I'm going to remain, I'm going to really be struggling to try. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it being stuck with this person. And I've had, I know I've had enough clients have discussions where they had to make some real decisions and they had to sit down and have some real conversations with their loved ones. I've told you guys this before. My sobriety, I have 3 beautiful children. My sobriety is my 4th. I don't let nobody talk down on it. Wouldn't let nobody talk down on my kids. You're not going to talk down on my sobriety. You're not going to talk down on my kids. You're not going to ask me why don't I just leave my child? You're not gonna stun its growth. You're not going to get in its way. You're not going to do any of that. And if I have to lie, put hands on you, disappoint you, make you cry, feel guilty, feel mad, feel pain, does not matter to me, not one bit. I'm going to push this S. And if you step in the way of this S, we've got a problem. And you might as well, I will get you out of my life. That's how it goes. You go before the S goes. You go before my sobriety goes. Period. And I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. So if I have to lie, I have to be deceitful. If I have to say I'm not coming to the club, maybe I'm not ready to admit that I'm not coming to the club because I stopped drinking. So I may say I'm not coming to the club because I got to go help my grandmama. Hey, it's good. No flag on the play. In my book. Now, with you and, you may be religious. I will never lie and hey, that's your business. I'm telling you about how I get down with it. All right. So when it comes to that, like I said, lying may help if, misleading people, however you got to do it to hold on to your sobriety. If that's what you need to do, if that's going to help you, do it. Do it. If you don't want to do it or not, I mean, it's your decision. But if you're talking to me, hey, you know what I'm saying? It's what worked for me. It doesn't get talked about a lot because, people think that, and that's the reason why I said lie. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, well, you should be calculated in how no, you're lying. And it's okay as far as I'm concerned. If you're going to protect, if you're doing it to protect your sobriety, you're not hurting anybody, especially if you're protecting your sobriety, handle your business. Handle your business. I've had people tell me, oh, I remember why this one guy put up a post, because, you know, I drink non-alcoholic brews. I drink my Heineken Zeros, right? Yeah, I was drinking Budweiser Zero, but right now they're on the boycott list because they agree with certain things I don't agree with. But I've had people who say, well, why don't you just drink water? I said, look, man, this is how I do sobriety. This is how I do it. You don't have to like it. I don't have to care. I'm not out here risking running into people, banging up other people's cars, late to pick up people, late to my job. I'm not doing anything. Hey, man, and I'm still blowing and I'm still sober. That's what matters to me. Not your opinion on how I do it. Your opinion on how I do it, really, I don't give a shit. To be honest, I don't care. If you like it, go. You don't like it? Oh, okay, go. It doesn't matter to me because it's mine. You don't like my kids? Doesn't matter to me as long as you don't touch them. I could care less. Your opinion doesn't matter enough for me to even, you know what I'm saying, shake it at this point. So that's what, you know, what I want to leave you with imparting is, you know, the honesty heals, but you protect your sobriety at all costs. Because like you say, recovery comes first. Yes, it does. And by any means necessary, on that case, I am the Malcolm X when it comes to this here thing. There are no rules when it comes to how I maintain my sobriety. Because anybody that's an enemy in my sobriety doesn't deserve any kind of consideration as far as I'm concerned. Any obstacle to my sobriety does not deserve my respect. If I choose to give it to you, cool. But for the most part, how I feel is the second you decide to undermine or come against my sobriety, we're enemies. And I don't play with enemies. I don't play fair with enemies. All right. And that's just how it goes. And you shouldn't either. You shouldn't either. All right. So I hope that pours into you. If it doesn't, don't matter. I've already said it. It's already done. It's in the universe. It's another win for the kid. All right. If you have any questions, you know, definitely DM me. Shout out to everybody who checked this out live. And if you're checking out the replay, hey, shout out to you. Definitely like, you know, do the like thing, the comment, subscribe, all that stuff you're supposed to say. I'm going to work on getting this intro thing together. But regardless, I hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Make, like you say, a personal choice. Make your personal choice yours. But if your personal choice is sobriety, protect it. Okay? Put on the armor. Like they say in the Bible, the full armor of God. Hey, put that thing on and fight it to the hill. Because it's yours and you deserve to live a meaningful, addiction-free life. All right. So I hope you guys have a great day. And as always, until next time, peace.